Our presentation is about vascular tissue and its responses to a variety of injuries.
The vascular tissue of plants consists of xylem and phloem. Xylem transports water and minerals from roots to shoots, while phloem transports sugars in both directions. Xylem cells, tracheids and basal elements are dead at functional maturity and contain perforating pits in their cell walls for water and mineral movement. In contrast, phloem cells, sieve tube elements and companion cells are alive at functional maturity. Sieve tube cells, however, lack many important organelles and rely on neighboring companion cells for support and energy. Sieve tube cells are connected by enlarged plasmodesmata. In non-woody plants, vascular tissue is protected by epidermis and cortex, thick region of the ground tissue. In roots, xylem has a circular arrangement in monocots is star-shaped in eudicots, with phloem found nearby. In stems, vascular tissue is arranged into discrete vascular bundles that contain both phloem and xylem. Woody plants undergo secondary growth by forming lateral meristems, vascular cambium and cork cambium, which divide frequently. Vascular cambium, a cylindrical structure between phloem and xylem, adds cells on both sides, forming secondary phloem on the outside, which contributes to bark, and secondary xylem on the inside, which becomes wood. Cork cambium forms near secondary phloem and adds cells on the outside, forming bark. Vascular tissue has many unique characteristics, including its ability to withstand and repair damaged plant.
Fire is a way that vascular plants, especially trees, can be damaged in both above and below ground structures. To analyze the damage caused by fire and the response of the tree must survive the contact with fire. There are two steps to surviving fire contact: the use of constitutive protection to help avoid injuries such as bark, and prompted defense such as callus formation. The quick and complete compartmentalization of damaged cells is important to the survival of trees. When the vascular cambium is killed through the fire's causes, a callus is formed. This callus is formed through the dedifferentiation of live wood parenchyma and phloem cells. Over the following days and weeks, the timescale depends on the severity of the damage, new cambium develops in the callus. It is thought this process involves the production of ethylene and potentiation, the change of potentials in the plant that help with the transportation of growth regulators. This image shows a column boundary layer, pointed out by the white arrows. This is where the damage occurred originally, and this shows how the tree continued to grow and responded to the damage. The responses to fire injury are very similar to the responses to mechanical injury.
The vascular tissue of plants can respond in unique ways to different types of injury. In a study by Martin Goffinet of Cornell University, he looked at the different ways in which the vascular tissue of grapevines acclimated to cold weather injury. First off, he noted that activity in the vascular cambium and leaf production slowed down. Furthermore, carbohydrates would be directed to different locations such as the canes, cordons, trunks, and roots by the phloem. Cells would become dehydrated in order to prepare for the freezing temperatures. Finally, callose deposits would form and plug the phloem elements. However, even these precautions can't always prevent freeze injury from occurring in plants. Therefore, when freeze injuries would occur, Goffinet noticed that a new vascular cambium would form and create a new xylem and phloem. Callus would also form around the phloem elements if the phloem survived the winter, and if the phloem died, the callus would form around the xylem. Here we see the recovering tree trunk after intense freeze damage. The pink areas are the portions where callus is forming. As we said earlier, callus usually forms around the phloem, but if the phloem does not survive the freeze injury, callus will form around the xylem. Towards the center of the picture, new xylem and phloem elements are being produced by the new vascular cambium. A truly unique characteristic of vascular tissue is how it responds to mechanical injury. Within wood fibers of a tree's trunk, there are microscopic structures called bordered pits. There is a central region of these bordered pits called the torus. The torus is surrounded by pits that contain mesh membranes in which fluid can flow through. Therefore, when a trunk is injured, the torus shifts from the center of the tree to the area where the injury is in order to seal the cut. Otherwise, sap would flow through the mesh membranes and out of the tree, and in essence, bleed to death. However, the torus that moves from the center of the bordered pit to the area of the injury is surrounded by pectin, which in turn is used to block any leakage of sap and seal the cut. How this works can be explained by changes in pressure. The whole system works like a check valve. As sap flows out, air flows in, and the bordered pit becomes closed off. This incredible bordered pit system is capable of allowing trees to withstand injuries, as well as helping in moving sap up the tree's trunk while preventing embolisms or air pockets. In this photo, we see 3 bordered pits. The red portions represent pectin, and the green portions represent cellulose. We can see that the pectin rings form around the center of the bordered pit, or the torus, and these rings help prevent leakage of sap and seal cuts.
As we have seen, the major mechanism by which a plant survives fire and cold injuries is formation of a callus by the vascular cambium. However, there is a difference in callus function between the 2 injury types. When confronted with cold weather, plants develop a callus that functions mainly in protection of vascular tissue. As noted above, it will grow around either xylem or phloem depending on which one survives. When fire injury occurs, callus functions in regeneration of damaged tissue, in addition to protection, by allowing a new vascular cambium to grow inside. So why is this difference? One way to interpret the data is by comparing the 2 types of injuries. Even though both involve a thermal shock, the timing of events differs. The plants have more time to prepare for the cold weather conditions, as usually the temperature drops slowly, and the change occurs in a particular time of year. In contrast, fire hits suddenly. In this way, the plants have more time to develop additional responses to cold shock, such as slowing down plant metabolism, redirecting phloem sap, and dehydrating cells. Fire injuries are, therefore, relatively more difficult for plants to endure, as the plants have to both protect themselves and regenerate tissue with one immediate response, callus formation. Similar to fire injury, mechanical injury is also a sudden shock to a plant. However, as opposed to secreting protective structure, callus, after mechanical damage, vascular cambium seals off the damage directly with xylem structures called bordered pits, located between sclerites or vessel elements. The reason for it is that in fire damage, it is crucial for a tree to compartmentalize the damaged tissue, which is done by secreting an additional substance. Mechanical injury, in contrast, involves the vascular tissue directly and is dealt with directly by xylem cells. The most important tissue in the plants, the vascular tissue, has evolved to counteract different types of damage in the most efficient way possible. Trees damaged by fire minimize their energy expenditure by using the same structure for protection and regeneration. As the weather gets colder, plants utilize all the resources available to prepare for frost. And finally, minimum time and energy are wasted after mechanical damage. Vascular tissue responds directly.
This work is important as it demonstrates the efficiency of the adaptations that evolved over the course of the evolution in vascular tissue to counteract different types of damage with maximum efficiency.
And that's everything. Thank you guys for watching.